loud.
Yeah. As it should be.
It should be. Wow. Here we are. November 4th. What a big week. Across the board, across the city, across all over the place, man. Like, November 4th, episode 39, Tom and Q show. You got Q, you got Tom. We are here today, down in the basement, reliving a week of just craziness.
A lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't every week have a lot to it, man? When you kind of break it down and
it does. But it's funny, you know, when we do this stuff, sometimes we'll get to these opening notes and there'll be nothing, right? And then there's other times like today where it's like we both have ideas and we're just like constantly writing, and we know we're not going to get to all of this stuff.
Right.
But like the whole point of that is going to be like, if we run out of stuff to talk about, not getting to Pete Rose, right? So here we are, episode 39, week number 1 of the No Wives show, right?
Yeah.
Week number 1, new streak. Nicole came on last week. We had a lot to talk about. Today we have a lot to talk about. But before we get into any of that, we do have some bills to pay. So some special people, you know, that have helped us, encouraged us, brought us along, told us what was right, told us what was wrong. How about that?
Yeah.
You hear that?
I like that.
Just
I always say you talk long enough, something smart's going to come out.
Bust a rhyme right there,
we're
too.
We're going to get smart after a while.
Went right into that and just busted a rhyme. So White Oak Productions, fantastic DJ, you know, really private, a lot of word of mouth only. You don't see them advertised really anywhere. You know, you've got parties coming up, weddings, all those types of things that take place kind of, whether it's Christmas, whether it's New Year's party, and think about the good grief, man. New Year's is coming right around the corner.
Yeah, the thought of any event without music is just, there's a void.
Yeah, hey, we got music.
Yes.
It's an event, right?
Yes.
So hit them up, tag them on Facebook, White Oak Productions, if you got something going on. They're great for schools too. Really can be family friendly.
Yeah.
Play everything. So awesome. Local legends. Christmas is coming up. I
Promo code Tom and Q.
Ran into a buddy of mine. He had an all black Local Legends hat.
Nice.
Yeah, it's sharp. It's sharp.
Yeah.
So
I was driving on my side of town a while back, and I saw a large white pickup, and I saw a Local Legend sticker in the window, and I kind of got excited. And well, he's really getting involved with the cornhole community, and with Dwayne Cabe doing that sponsorship with them. And there's a place over in Batavia called Bean and Brew, and they had their cornhole board, and that's where I saw the Local Legend logo on that side of town is through them. So it's kind of neat to see it popping up.
It's picking up, right?
Yeah.
It's picking up for sure.
Because there's legends everywhere, man.
There is.
People that we appreciate, and we need to tip our hat to them and give them the love they deserve and highlight them as what they are.
Yeah.
They're legendary to us.
Without question, fantastic dude, fantastic idea, fantastic company. And then we have Fretboard Brewery. Cecilia, we will get you a date by the end of the day today.
Yeah.
Because we're going to lock that down one way or the other.
Exciting, and we'll launch that and invite everyone out. And
yeah.
We'll go down and
a live
go
show
up from here.
Yeah. It'd be fantastic. So they're awesome. Great brewery. Great craft beer. And then, you know, these guys do a lot for the community too.
Yes.
Yeah. And they had a big week this week as well. The Taulbee-Suggs Group. You know, fantastic dudes, easy to work with, extremely handsome, kind, polite, accepting, really handsome.
In case we missed that.
Yeah.
The boyish good looks are just
so
intimidating.
Hit those guys up. You won't be disappointed. And then finally, last week, the Taulbee-Suggs Group, put out a video that we shared of a tour that you did.
Yes.
Of Corporate Shoe Boutique.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Corporate Shoe Boutique. We've been meaning to get to this, and we really haven't done it until after we put this video out there.
Yeah, so Matt and I, we used to work together and at Hat Zone at Tri-County, and he was kind of a mall rat type employee. Worked at a couple shoe stores, clothing stores. I hired
We've all
him
been
on.
there.
Yes, that bounce. He didn't bounce around, but he loved retail. He loved sales, and he was just passionate about it. And when he came onto the staff, him and I would just throw ideas about running. As little kids, you talk about, hey, all of our friends are going to live in a cul-de-sac together and do our thing. We're going to own a bar together. We're going to own a business together, and we're going to do these things. And it was, very par for the course type conversations with Matt. But just talking to him, it's like, whoa, this guy's got a different intensity when it comes to how passionate about shoes he is and was then. His collection was incredible then, and it was just something that he was very, very, very much into. And it was neat to have those conversations of starting your own business, catering to a certain clientele, and getting that off the ground. And in 2008, he lost a dear friend of his, and part of his motivation was that moment when you lose somebody, you get that overwhelming of, have I accomplished things in my life? Have I done anything? And it becomes very real. And he's like, you know what? Life is finite, and I need to take these ideas serious. So he just took that leap of faith, and he opened it up in, I believe the first location was up in like Forest Park area, Sharonville area. Was there for a few years and just wasn't going as planned because he had such an exclusive clientele that, you're not churning and burning that door and people coming and going. So it's tough when you have big transactions, but not a lot of transactions,
right.
If that makes sense. So 3 years in, he was looking to close the doors. He's down in Hyde Park, hanging out. Just had the instinct to make a phone call to a space that he saw available. Said, hey, here's what I got going on. And the lady's like, hey, I've been praying for you. I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am, but this is what I want. And they sat down, worked up the details, and he moved out there down to Hyde Park and caught on instantly. It's a great location, central location, and it started growing, which led him to the humbleness of giving back. So he started Bigger Than Sneakers, which is a charity of exactly what it is, giving back, whether it's shoes. He was sharing that he gave, I think, 25 laptops to a local school, just through fundraising and generating that buzz. So yeah, it's just the whole backstory of starting a business, acting on impulse, taking advantage of those situations. It was such an inspiring story, and it's kind of humbling, man. And it goes back to some of the things that you and I were talking about with doing this podcast, with us merging together as business. And when you do that constant evaluation of life and where you are and where you want to be, it's you realize I either have or have not acted on some of those impulses. Yeah. Just do it. Quit talking about it. And
sometimes it's easier just to jump right in, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
And it's I know this and I know this, and it's when you surround yourself with people and you pay attention to the people that you have in your life, and it's people are good people, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to cash in on a favor.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you from this network. I've got a favor to ask from you. Can you put me in contact with so-and-so? Can you help me here? Can you help me there? And people are always willing to lend that helping hand. So when you're have that big dream, that big vision, that big goal, that unrealistic thing, and that's something else that Matt and I talked about, is neither one of us were hating on each other when we shared dreams. It was like, man, it's going to be cool. We talked about it as if it existed and how exciting it was, and to encourage one another. But reach out to those friends, man. We all have those big dreams, and I guarantee you there's somebody in your network that if you made the phone call,
yeah,
and it goes back to all the lunches, that been able to have. There's a lot of friends that I have that I didn't realize I had, or I knew that I had, that if I needed favors, I could make some phone calls and reciprocate that, right? So there's a lot of friends I could call and say, hey, Q, I need some help. I'm here for you. I might not be able to do it, but let me put you in contact with somebody else. And it's to hear Matt's story, and that's how it manifested. Like, we all have a network. Take advantage of it.
And we've talked about it several times, is when you go through life and you're doing the best you can to do good by other people, by yourself, by your family, whatever, and you don't burn those bridges. Right. And those types of things, I know in our business, have been extremely important, right? And I can imagine in Matt's business, it's the same way. And he's located where at again?
In Hyde Park.
In Hyde Park,
right in the square.
Corporate shoe boutique. When I heard that, and I asked you when we first talked about doing it, and unfortunately with my finger issue, I couldn't make it. When we first talked about doing that, you hear corporate shoe, and immediately I go to like dress shoes, right?
Yeah.
Immediately it's like, okay, this is a little hoity-toity, a little snooty place, especially boutique. I'm a West Sider that's like, wait, corporate
kind of word boutique.
I'm like, I don't really do boutiques, right? Is it like Dick's Sporting Goods, And then so I asked you, I said, well, what's their niche, right? And yeah, he's got this niche of
no dress shoes.
It's
more of a casual or a running shoe or a gym shoes, just exclusive styles.
But not all exclusive. Like
Correct.
if you want, the regular stuff, right? A regular Nike, Adidas, Reebok, whatever it is, New Balance, whatever is out there, he's got that, right?
Yes.
So he's got those types of things. But on the flip side, if you like to be different and you like to be unique, much like a corporate shoe boutique, that's twice I've rhymed. Yeah, he has really, really special stuff there as well, right? And we had talked before, and without going into names and such, but also he hits, and he mentioned it on the video, right? I mean, he is really, really big into the local market. So if you get whether it's Reds players, Bengals players, celebrities. He's connected in that network. So in hats, like when these guys they see something or they want something, they go right to him too. So he's a trusted source.
Yes. His network is it's insane, man, and that's how he's able to go up to Indianapolis and just open up because of he had some Colts reaching out, getting shoes from down here, and it's like, hey, I've got some traction up here. Let me go ahead and expand.
Yeah.
So, and it goes back to the leap of faith, man. He expanded during the COVID crisis.
Yeah.
The quarantine and shutdown. Let's go. What's that cliche saying? When everybody's scared, spend money. When everybody's spending money, be scared.
Be scared, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's selection, apparel he got into. We were talking about that for a little bit, and you guys can see it on the video, on personal page and watch the video on the Taulbee-Suggs platform. A great apparel selection. Again, all custom stuff. He sits down with his vendors. They come up with creative ideas. What's to expect, what's in the future, what's coming out, what's hot, what's not. Let's mesh these two together. Let's put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
So it's a neat process that he goes through.
That's awesome. It was an awesome video. After watching, I was disappointed that I couldn't be there,
right? Because
there was a lot of energy in that room, and it would have been nice to get to meet the guy and take a look around and just kind of be together in some of the stuff that we've done before. So
yeah, humble dude, man. When he looks around, it's just like, I'm thankful for this person in my life. Thankful, and it's one of those guys like, but Matt, you put in all the work. But yeah, it was because of so and so, and I put in the work. But you still need somebody on the other side of that work to help navigate you and just be there, right? You can't accomplish anything in this life alone, and that's on the front of his mind all the time. He's a grateful dude. And
so one of the things I saw in the video, okay, one of the pairs of shoes I saw in the video, it was unique, but it was unique to a time, right? So Alexa, play Air Force Ones.
I was thinking of that song when we were sitting here talking.
So it was sweet. It was like a white pair of shoes and air, spelling. So That's awesome. Continued success to corporate. We'll continue to push his message out there on our platforms as well.
Yeah, and we'll try to get him on the show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of platforms, it's the time in the show where we go to our other platform and we find out where are we reaching. Podcast stats time. Now
we reaching St. Louis with Nelly and the boys.
Oh, that'd be sweet. Let's take a look. Let's go to the computer.
I've not heard this song in so long.
I figured it fit. That's a good 100%. Pun there too, right? Go to our stats page. Log in. Oh, this is one of those. Man, this is disappointing today.
Uh-oh.
Last week's show not as hot on the podcast circuit. All right, so let's go back in time a little bit.
Yeah, let's get our energy flowing, man. Let's.
All right, back to basics. 12. I can't remember exactly what that was at. 9, 11, 10. Homecoming 6. Pumpkin Spice 8. Perspective was a good one at 26. Where were we at with Perspective last week? 26
What
still?
was the date on that?
October 4th was when it hit Spotify.
So we had 5 and 21, so 26.
26,
We
yeah.
still there?
Yep, still there. Did Urban break the internet?
15.
We're at 16 now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
History lesson. We're at 14.
What week was that?
That was October 15th.
Uh-oh. That would have been that week. I don't have a number on that one.
All right. So my finger injury of a couple weeks ago, 19 downloads.
Nice.
Okay. Not sure exactly what that was at last week. And this is a bit humbling. I don't want to say disappointing.
Yeah.
Humbling's the right word, right?
Yeah.
So as Election Day podcast, which usually comes out the day or so after our live show here on Facebook, 6 downloads.
Do you know what was funny about that is tracking it, and yes, we do follow the thumbs up, guys, and we track our stats.
Yeah.
Viewings on that show were pretty high.
True.
There was a great spike on I guess when the main picture had Nicole in it. Everybody's like, hey, we want to hear what
Lock
she
in,
has
right?
to say instead of these two guys. So, Nicole, thanks for the boost in views.
Yeah. All right. So we are at an all-time high of 117 downloads. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So we're going to go to...
So not only are we about quantity, but we're about quality as well.
Yeah.
So there are a couple downloads that we track every week. Not of U.S. soil downloads.
Correct. And that's I always forget where to go on this thing, how to actually look at it. But... So Election Day, which was Tuesday.
Yep.
So last week we had a spike, kind of settled down, got a little heat as the week kind of started. All right, here we go. From last week. Really doesn't matter how many people listen as long as my man in Frankfurt, Germany is on board. Thank you very much. I'm just going to call you Frank. So I don't know your name, and I've actually had dreams of, like, you know, in our business we turn away a lot of the phone numbers that we don't know and kind of see if they leave a message because we get a ton of spam
I got
calls.
a phone call from Frankfurt.
I'm like,
hey, Tom,
I had a
it's
dream.
Frank from
Yes,
Frankfurt.
I had a dream that I actually met this guy. So, or girl, we're not sure. Again, I go back to, if you're a girl, we are extremely handsome. Or those guys are handsome, right? So thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, we're good to look at and good to listen to.
So a little bit, like I said, a little humbling. You know, we hit a high last week with Halloween and everything, and the Election Day. Everything else was kind of local, which, again, not to downplay those people. Thank you for tuning in. We are available pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. I know it gets shared out on Facebook as well as Spotify. You know, if you want to catch up on some of the stuff that we talked about, a lot of our stuff is recurring. You know, we'll tell a lot of jokes and things that'll kind of just be constant. So take a listen to those, and you definitely give us some feedback, you know, in regards to kind of what you think. So hopefully that number will change after this one. We're going to talk about a few different things today, kind of after our initial hit, right? After our initial stuff, we go into...
So how many did we get last week?
6.
6.
Six.
Okay. I did do a little research on Frankfurt.
What do you know?
So the ruler of Francia.
Okay.
So Germany is Central Europe, and then it's almost like Wisconsin shaped.
Okay.
And then Frankfurt is western half, kind of toward the bottom third. It's a huge banking financial system in Europe. So it's kind of the, I don't want to say the New York Wall Street, but in kind of similar fashion. You know, they don't have 20 million people like New York. It is a great size metropolitan area. It's like 5.5 million. So Atlanta size, Boston size, and
Major metropolitan city in
yes,
Germany.
yes.
Yeah.
Second biggest and I don't know. I didn't see what was first, so I don't know if that was
I'm
Berlin or.
I was gonna say Berlin, Frankfurt.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not up on
So-
my. I like geography, but I'm not up on my German cities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the name was after a Frankia king, which Frankie is not to be mistaken for French or France.
Now, are they also famous for the Frankfurter?
Ooh.
Is that where that started?
Maybe we'll have to look into that. I don't know. Frankfurt, Kentucky, kind
Maybe-
of adopted that name.
Yeah.
And it's in Germany it's F-U-R-T. Over here it's F-O-R-D. So Frankfurt for Frankfurt.
You know what? I didn't think of that.
Yep.
I really didn't think of that, but you're right.
Yep. So it's yeah, huge there, and you know me and my fascination with Vikings. It's right at the bottom of Denmark is Germany, so there's a lot of Scandinavian influence there, and Germanians, and very aggressive in nature.
Well, it's
Past
good.
wars and
It's good too. Cincinnati is it's a
very German town.
yeah, you
Yeah.
know, population, you're heavy German. Right?
Yeah.
That's why you have one of the biggest Oktoberfests in the world.
Yeah, we talk about grill outs, brats and Mets.
Yeah.
You go anywhere outside of here, you got any Mets?
Yeah. What?
What's a Met?
Yeah.
I always loved. Q, you like hot Mets? I married one.
Yeah. Right. That's right.
Wife's maiden name.
Right. Ching, 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 ching.
Yes.
So last week, you know, we broke the streak and we had my wife Nicole on, and we had Election Day. We talked a lot about Election Day and the preparation for it. So we found out in April that she was going to make a run at becoming a member of the school board. So for those of you who don't know, that is an elected position. So you have to campaign, you have to go shake hands, you got to go kiss babies, you got to go to all, you got to go to all the events, because people, it's amazing to me, people do ask a lot of questions. Even, and not that it's small, but it's not your presidential election, it's not your gubernatorial election.
Yeah.
You know, it's a small, heavily local, completely local
Right.
election in regards to, it could be a little bit of, aren't they all a popularity contest as well at some point?
And my middle daughter and I had a conversation yesterday about elections and might be unpopular opinion. I don't know. It's just a different perspective of life. And we're talking about voting. And I said, to me, the only votes that truly matter are local elections.
Yeah.
Because those people, like Nicole had to experience, she had to go kiss babies and talk to people and interact. And we've got FaceTime with those people, so they have to be on guard at all times. And you're living in the community, so people interact with you. They see you. They know firsthand what you're about. They know your kids. They know your husband. They know a lot of things. So the merit system of being elected locally, it's significant, because that person has a little different pressure on them, because the person that, in talking with Nicole, people called her.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got contact information and I can connect to you. We can't connect to the president.
Right.
We can't connect to the state.
You rely heavily on the media and what you see and what they, of all parties, and
So if we do
people
a
put out there.
better job as a country, right, and I'm going to reverse engineer this, and where my unpopular opinion is I don't know that we should be voting for a president, because we have no interaction with them. We don't know anything about them. It's the level that they're at. But as you reverse down, once we get to the state level, there is a way of access. And then when you get to your local school board, your local trustees, that is where the vote matters the most, in my opinion. Because if you can get the most credible person at that level, then we'll get better people at that level, more involvement at that level, then it's going to go up. So it's the trickle up.
Yeah, it's a
effect,
trickle
if you
up.
will.
That's what I was going to say. It's a trickle up effect, right?
So
You
understand who's locally representing what you want to do in your community.
And
Because the president can't fix Amelia, Ohio.
and nor should he.
Correct.
Nor should he, right? So you elect good people at the local level.
Yeah.
At that point, and we've seen it firsthand. It just we'll backtrack a little bit. Mm-hmm. She hammered it. She hammered everybody, right? So we had it figured out to approximately you could vote for 3, right? And my math is probably a little bit fuzzy because I didn't pull all of the precincts, right? But you could vote for 3.
Yeah.
And we have it figured out that she received votes on anywhere from 65 to 75% of the ballots in the school district.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's a hammer job right there. The next closest person was 1,200 votes behind and was about 5 percentage points behind. And he did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next person behind them, it got really close between
3 and 4.
3, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Right? Within a couple hundred votes here, a couple hundred votes there. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting process. Her and I have talked about this a lot. Man, you never really when you're growing up and you get a job and you're living your life, you never really think about it. You know what? At least I didn't. I'm gonna run for some type of office. You really don't even know how to get started. You don't know, and all the things that kind of happen and what you need to do and the steps and the process and all these different things that take place before the election even happens.
Yeah, and it goes back to talking about corporate, man. And I'm sure Nicole did it. She reached out and cashed in on past relationships. Mm-hmm. Where do I get started? Who do I need to talk to? What direction would I need to go? Hey, you know what, Nicole? I like what you're doing, and I'm going to support you.
Yeah.
How can I help you? And people, you find that along the way so much, more than you ever could imagine. Hey, how can I help? And to see her go from a passion of, hey, I want things to be better.
Yeah.
Right? And I think I've got answers. I think I've got solutions. Let me make a few phone calls. And then it snowballs into, she dominated.
Yeah. Yeah.
She dominated.
And everybody, we had a lot of help.
Her first year out, going from I don't know what to do to getting that many votes, it speaks to, and we talked about it last week, her and it seems to me that her priority is the community. And she made that, and you can't hide that, man. You can't hide talent.
Right.
And
ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie, right?
Ball does not lie.
Yeah, it was interesting. We talked about that too. It's one of those things that we talked about before. You don't burn any bridges because, kids, listen up. If you're going through middle school, high school, whatever it is, don't burn those bridges. Even if these folks aren't your closest friends, don't burn those bridges. Be good to the people, right? And eventually could be right away, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, down the road. Be good to those people because you never know. It will come back to you.
Yes. Right?
It will come back to you in some form, fashion, way, or another. It will come back to you. So I think that was a huge part of it, right?
Yeah.
And you get to know people and you're not afraid to reach out, right? And so, what's crazy to me is we had a lot of help. We had, between the Republican Party, which we'll talk about that in a second too.
Yeah, which is kind of weird to me, but we'll dive into it. It is what it is.
It's
I think it's where we've been forced. Our hand's been forced as a society.
That was the people that were involved there.
And that's the trickle down effect.
It is.
We need a trickle up effect. We need to.
Yeah.
As a nation.
It almost kind of, it's almost circular, right?
Yeah.
To an extent. So there was help there. Obviously, family, friends, those folks that passed the name, that came to the fundraisers, that shared the videos, shared the pictures, the websites, that stood outside poll stations, poll locations, that wore their Nicole Taulbee t-shirts at every school function they possibly could.
Right.
And really passed the word along. Like, it was amazing. It really was.
That's so cool, man.
It was an amazing uprising, and people kind of getting to see her, in a fashion that I already knew about.
That's cool.
Right?
That's
So
really cool.
It's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to win, right? And I hate to sound
That is a significant, proud husband moment.
Yeah.
Of, hey, I know.
Well, it's funny too. It's like
I've got an amazing woman sitting here.
She always
and
used
the
to
world's going to
joke.
find out. Starting with the Northwest Local School District's going to find out.
She still jokes all the time, like, which is definitely not true. How she made me cool, right? And I said to her the other night, I said, for the first time, this was after the election, I said,
You ever see that movie, Can't Buy Me Love?
oh yeah, she loves that movie. That's like her favorite movie, and she hasn't seen. She hasn't
took you from geek status to king status.
She hasn't seen
Thank
a
you,
lot
Nicole.
of movies, but
without Nicole, we don't have this.
yes, and so right, give her more credit than that.
Because I was always pretty cool, right?
right. I told her the other
So
day.
welcome
I said,
to my world.
for the first time in your life today, you are actually cooler than me. And so,
love it.
and now, so yeah, it was interesting. And I'm several people, not just myself, but I can only speak from my experiences. I'm standing outside, meeting. I got to meet some really interesting, really cool, really polite, really nice people too along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're standing outside and I'm holding doors and got my t-shirt on and saying hi to people and just being myself, and people would walk out and be like, you got one for me.
That's cool.
Man.
Man.
And it's like, but then you had others, right?
Right.
And it's to where I had one lady in particular. She was older. She was probably in her 70s, and you could tell that she did not do any research on some of the smaller elections. And in our area, we didn't have really. Some people just vote because that's what they're supposed to do. I do that. I go there, but she didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of what was actually going to be on it. She just knew it was election day, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so she goes to, I had another candidate for another office next to me. She goes to him and talking to him, and then she kind of circles back to me, and she said, and I said, vote for Taulbee. And she goes, what's he running for? I go, she. And she looks at the ballot, and she goes, school board? Nope, no thanks. I was like, are you saying no thanks, you're not going to vote for her? Or you don't
care about schools?
You don't believe? No, it was more so like, this is a woman, and I'm thinking to myself, like, you don't want a woman on the school board? Like, it was one of those, like, kind of sexist moments where I'm just like,
wow.
everything she kind of, and then I'm watching her, like the husband's opening not that this is wrong, guys, but the husband's like, she's waiting for the husband to open the door. They leave, like, husband walks around, opens her door. I get it, chivalry, be a gentleman. But at the same time, I'm like, man, there's some people that are really, really stuck in the 60s and 70s, at that point. And then you had other people that would walk up, and they were curious about questions.
Alexa, play Audio Slave, Be Yourself.
They would ask questions, and rightfully so.
That is the number 16 song from 2005. Number 16 rock song.
Rock. So I had one guy come up.
That's so interesting, man.
And he says, what does he went to the other candidate who was running for trustee, and he's like, I'd never voted for you. I didn't think I'd ever vote for you, but I'm going to vote for you now. And then the guy came over to me. I'm like, oh boy, I don't know what, I'm like,
I've never voted for her.
Yeah.
Nobody has.
He's like, and he was probably in his 50s, and he's like, I can't find any information on all these candidates, like, for school board. He's like, I can't find any. I'm like, did you go to Waycross Forum? Oh, no, I didn't know that even existed. I said, did you Google anything, like, local school board? I said, because you could Google the candidates and pull them up. He goes, well, I Googled it, and her stuff came up. And he's like, I just don't know anything about her. I said, did you go to the website, her website? He goes, yeah. I said, did you watch the video? Yeah. I said, did you read what she says that she believes in? Yeah. I said, you pretty much know everything about her at that point.
Well, what are you looking for, dude?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so all the other candidates you couldn't find, but you found hers, right?
Yeah.
And then I go, so what did you like her? He goes, well, she's good looking. I was like, see, there you go, vote for her. I'm like, hey, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. It's just win, baby. It's that Raiders
tell him, like,
mentality.
I think so too.
I did. I said thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We need your vote.
Hey, man, whatever it takes to win, win.
So that took place.
Basically, we should run for something
I don't run.
off of our looks. It sounds like we get pretty far in life.
What do they stand for? Just look at the picture.
Right. I don't know.
They put the picture right next to the checkbox. Okay.
They stand for handsome.
Yes. That's us.
Right.
We're
Yeah, what was that day like, man? What was, we see the videos where everybody sits in a room together. Did you guys have a place where you all congregated with family, watched the voting on the TV? Like, what was that day like, man? Paint that portrait. Alexa, volume down.
So it was interesting. A lot of it kind of started, Monday night, right?
Yep.
And again, this is the learning process too, right? So we have all these signs, and we kind of broke apart and drove around to all the polling places, and we're putting signs. The rule was like 100 feet from the actual entry. So we're like,
okay.
I had Austin with me, and I'd just pull up. He'd get a sign, run out, put it in, go. So it's like we went to each of us went to 6 or 7 different places, kind of putting these signs out.
Gotcha.
Went to dinner, just kind of like knowing that the next day is going to be really long. The kids were off school. So kind of went to eat, talked a little bit about it. You could kind of see everybody kind of on edge, even the kids, like just kind of excited. There's that anxious feeling like what's going to happen.
Yep.
And, the next morning, the polls open at 6:30. She looks at me, she goes, well, do you think at 6:30 you could, what? Stop. First of all, we have a 7-year-old. I'm not real comfortable with him waking up and me not being here. Like, I'm okay with leaving. Leaving. And Carson was off of school. This is for baseball. They had weightlifting on election day at 6:30 in the morning, which is fine if they have school.
Right.
So he got back at 7:30, and the plan was for me. She had went to the polls, our local polling place, and had stood outside there. For a long time. I went to vote, kind of got my instructions. I went to White Oak Christian Church at 11, and I stayed there until 4. I came back, got the kids, and then the polls closed at 7:30, so we all met at Game On Sports Bar and Grill at 7 o'clock, and we had some appetizers, some drinks, the TVs were on, we had laptops and phones. Everybody's like it's like refresh, like what's the vote at? Refresh. What's the vote? Refresh.
So I know, and I kind of got a temperature in the room. I sent you a screenshot, and there was a bit of a delay. Obviously you were busy and everything, so I wasn't expecting anything right away. And then it was that's mail-ins in one precinct.
Yeah.
It's almost like keeping my emotions in check. It's like being a Bengals fan. I'm keeping my emotions in check right here. Don't jump the gun. Yeah, she's leading, but that's
what was interesting.
There's a lot of season left, if you will.
And this is just being new to that side of things.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know what to expect.
Was how many people? I mean, our community. It's not small. It's relative.
No, it's Flooring Township. It's a larger township in Ohio.
It's relatively close, right? And it's like, okay, well, I asked the guys, when do we find out any type of, preliminary numbers, early numbers, anything like that? And he says, well, the absentee stuff will come out when the polls close at 7:30. So, we get the Game On, and I'm, on my phone, looking for the absentee, and I pull it up, and she had crushed the absentee as well.
That's what I sent you, was that screenshot.
And it was 624 absentee votes. And
so she had 22% of that. 23-ish%.
Yeah, and that's kind of an odd number.
So the only thing that I did is, and I like to simplify life. There were 5 people. We need 20%.
Yeah,
we need 1/5, right?
Yeah,
and
you actually would need 21. Right.
Correct.
Because you got to be in that top 3.
Right. Now I was assuming.
Yeah.
Somebody was going to be in the teens, so 20 was.
It was actually,
21 is the actual.
The last 3 was relatively close. The first 2 had kind of pulled away. Mark and Nicole, they had kind of pulled away. But I think when we saw the absentee numbers come in, and she was leading in the absentee and knowing the response that she had received at her polling location, and another gentleman had received at his polling location, what I had received where we were, like that from all like the top 7 polling locations,
Right.
all of the feedback and all of the information that we were getting was tremendous.
Right.
So those are people that showed up at the polls. So if the people are going to vote early and they're still voting, and then the big 7 are still coming through, and you're getting a lot of good feedback, it's like you feel pretty good that it's going to happen. Right. And so we get the game on, and we're kind of following along, and it probably took a couple of hours, probably about 10 o'clock. 100% of the precincts had reported, and the numbers were in, and she had beat everybody by 1,200 votes or more.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I think she was at 6,500. Second place was at 5,400. So, 6,531 to 5,408. So, yeah, that was, and like you said, the last 3 were pretty close. 44, 4,000, and 4,084 and 4,028. So, yeah, that was the third place. 400 votes. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
That's
and we kind of touched on this before is she was endorsed by the Republican Party, and we are a heavily Republican community, right? It's pretty much a red community for the most part.
Yeah.
At least kind of on the side of town, this side of the district that we live in. That's just stats. That's not
correct.
Not stating an opinion or anything like that. But being on that, especially in a smaller election, right? You have a Democratic president that won the election last year.
Yeah.
So the blue side, right? Unless you just vote every single time, which obviously people don't, right? It was a low turnout. There was only less than 25% of registered voters in Hamilton County actually voted. So knowing that you've got a Democratic president that just won, and you've got kind of that midterm or that half smaller election point here, you kind of knew like voter turnout probably wasn't going to be that good.
Right.
So on the flip side, you have a Republican president that lost. You have, Republicans at that point are, hey, we need change. She gets put on this pink ballot, which I was handing out this pink ballot, which basically is telling Republicans, if you're a Republican, this is who you should look for, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely think that was huge in regards to a smaller election like this.
Yeah, and that's where I get a little flustered.
I don't know if it would have affected her as much as maybe some of the others.
Right. So that's that trickle down effect, because as a country, we're so polarized, man. We're so divided, and to hear, because I knew nothing about that until about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That as a school board, you got to take a political endorsement.
You don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to.
But it helps.
It helps
because where we are as a society, it's R or D, right? It is what it is, and it's like, man, that's so.
And as a political party,
so
though,
discouraging.
That's what you want, right? Maybe as a parent.
But why are politics crossing over into the school world?
Yeah,
and that's where I struggle with that. To hear that's kind of the format, and I think the right person got the job, the right agenda got the job, the right focus got the job, the right ideas got the job. So all of those things won out because the ball doesn't lie, right? But it's just discouraging because every school. So you think of Coleraine, you've got some rural area, and you've got some
urban area,
area, right? Mm-hmm. You've got a cross up. So I don't know that, and you got to cater to both because it's the best thing for the school district. Of what is our school district? When you go out to West Claremont, it's the same thing. It's what's our demographic, and you find out quickly that you got a little bit of both.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how do we cater to? How do we help? How do we provide the best opportunity for these? And at that level, it takes the bipartisan of, hey, let's sit down and have these conversations, which it sounds like Nicole was absolutely willing to do. Of okay, what are some of your passions and beliefs of what it takes to provide to the school system, and here are mine. Let's find that hybrid. Let's find that happy medium. Let's accept the fact that one is just right now for the times better than the other. period.
So,
And I don't think
I don't
politics should come into that. In my opinion,
here's
it drives
where
me nuts.
yes, you see the R, you see the elephant, you see the donkey, the D, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it is important. I've kind of flip-flopped up over the last few days. And the only reason why, and again, you're talking about an election, right? You're not talking about what actually happens after the election. So, and my mind was kind of changed on this as I'm standing outside and I'm talking to people, right?
So you're coming from where I see it now.
Yes.
And you've evolved out of it and kind of open, and that's what we need.
Well,
so I'm interested to hear your path from going to kind of where I stand now, pretty firmly, to kind of change my mind along the way.
So one of the things that during one of the forums, somebody was asked was, "Are you pro-life?" Right? And their response was, "Well, what does that matter for a school board?" Okay, hear me out, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
Correct.
However, people, like even in our business, people work with people who they like. Right? Who share a lot of values that they share. Mm-hmm. Right? So you're judging that person because that's who you want to go to work for you, right? So anything when you're in an election is fair game. You are an elected official.
Yeah.
If I feel that, let's just say that I am pro-life and you are not, and I ask you and I feel like that just doesn't align with me, or it doesn't have to be something that drastic, right?
Sure. That's an intense question in that circumstance because what you're talking about is kids.
No, exactly.
So it's like, am I pro-life? I don't know.
But who goes to
that?
school?
I need to have that answer to you.
Who goes to school?
But
right?
what we're talking about is
and
the current situation we're dealing with, and that is kids that
were
born.
Yes, I get it. But if I'm looking at somebody, and let's just take even like the masks, right? You're going to work with people or want to vote for somebody that aligns as close as possible to your values.
Yes.
And when you run in an election, whether that's right or wrong, there is no question that is unfair.
I agree with that.
And that's where I think the politicizing the Republican, Democrat, I think that's where that kind of comes in because people do associate themselves with those groups. They see Republican, they think conservative, pro-life, anti-masks, against CRT. They see Democrat and they see the opposite, right? Whether that's right or wrong. And it's not so much, I think when it's in an election, I think I've changed to that because now I understand why people are asking those questions.
Without all the small talk, I know basically what arena this person is.
Correct.
In life.
Yes.
So I don't need to go through and with a fine-tooth comb. Like your guy is like, yeah, but I don't know her. Did you do this? Yeah, but I don't know her.
There was another guy
came
came
up.
up.
I don't know her. And I think that's a kind of person that captivates me because I'm like, where are we going with this? Like, how deeply do you want to get to know this person?
And I was curious too. And I had another guy that was in. Hopefully he's not listening, or hopefully he is listening, but not. It was just strange, right? I won't say he was necessarily strange, but it was just strange. And there's another guy, and he was less strange. He was just wanting to be informed, and he's asking me. He said, "Who is she?" I said, "Well, she's my wife." She goes, "Oh, okay. Well, what does she stand for?" I said, "Well, what do you want to know?" And I said, "Well, she's for mass being optional, and CRT should be taught at home." I said, "What other questions do you have?" He goes, "You just nailed them both." Good. Took the paper and walked in.
Wow.
So it to me, like that stuff, they're looking at you as an individual. What are your beliefs? What do you stand for? And is it close to what I have, right? And that gets you into the office. And then you take what your beliefs are, and when you get into that office, and you work to those beliefs, but in the same sense, you've got to also be able to be open-minded to what other people's beliefs are and work with them as well.
Yeah, so during this election, you have to play within the rules of the game of the time. And that is the rules of the game of the time.
Yeah. I don't
D or an R.
I don't think her work from here on out has anything to do with a D or an R.
Good.
Getting elected
had everything to do. Okay.
You
so play the game. I 100%.
You see
play the game.
So I do think it's important.
Don't hate the player. Hate the
question
game.
isn't why is that important to run for school board? Well, it's extremely important to run for school board.
Yeah.
It's not important when you're on school board. What's important on school board is getting the job done and basically being yourself, right?
Yes.
And that's the hard part, right? Being yourself is the hard part because you got four other people, right? Don't go with the flow. Be yourself. You got there because of who you are.
Yeah, which was great because that was the title of that last song we played. It was "Be Yourself."
Be yourself, right? So that's the truth, and I think the election part sucked. Like it was fun, it was interesting, but it's a grind, man, and that's just a small. We're just a small school board.
Yeah, that's neat to hear the questions that people have and to hear them challenge your own thoughts and I think. I like that, man. I like that personally because it really does. You just challenged my thought, and I walk away from it it's an interesting perspective that I didn't see before. Because we all live in our own little bubbles,
Right.
and today it's even worse. But
common sense tells you, just like you said,
just
and just like
conversation.
I said, common sense tells you that yes, that R and that D doesn't matter.
Correct.
But when you're in it,
You got to play the game.
but it also makes
the
sense
rules of
to
the
me,
game.
know why it does.
Yeah.
Because people align themselves with people with like feelings, like thoughts, like characteristics, right?
Yeah.
In an election, opposites don't really attract.
Correct. Correct.
To pardon the pun. Now, okay, so that's enough of the hard-nosed election.
Kind of behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, right? So first of all, again, we want to thank everybody that helped. I thanked you guys prior to...
Can't wait to get the RE on here.
Yes. No, I don't. That's 4 more years. Let's just live in the moment, right? And so, for those people that did help, you don't even know how appreciative you are. I'm sure she'll do a good job. Now, I have a special thank you. Okay? Special. Very special. Very, very special. So, in an election, you put signs out, right?
Yep.
When the election is over, you drive around and you pick them up. So I show up. We did the night before and went to all these polling places, and we followed their rules, right? We put these signs up where they were allowed. But I was the first one in a lot of these places. So I kind of determined where these signs would go. And so, you expected to show up the next morning and see your sign and everybody else's yard signs that are there as well, right? And everybody's just kind of this big pile, and a lot of it's name recognition and so on and so forth. And then the following day, you want to have them down within 24 hours, right?
All right.
And so she kind of put out there like, hey, thank you for putting one of my signs in the yard. Really appreciate it. Feel free to throw it away. Whatever you want to do with it, do with it.
Right.
The common areas where she had signs, we drove around yesterday and picked them up. So I get to White Oak Christian Church where we were, and I pull in the entrance to where I put a sign. It's not there, but there are 2 other candidates there. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I drove down to the other entrance of the church to see if the other one was there. No, that was gone too, but the 2 other ones were there. Come to find out, a lot of these polling locations that we put these signs up, hers was gone. But everybody else remained. I'll get to my thank you in a moment.
Right now, the gears are turning, the thoughts, processing things.
Yesterday, we are driving around.
Alexa, play Beastie Boys, Sabotage.
So yesterday, we're driving around to these polling locations in public places, picking them up. And we would drive, and we'd get to a place and be like, oh, it's gone. Get to another place, oh, it's gone. And we were early, so it's not like somebody was necessarily helping us out in these circumstances,
Sure.
right? So for that person who took it upon themselves to take down all of our signs at the polling locations, saving us trips over and over again, you, my friend, are amazing. So thank you. Continue to do what you're doing. Better luck in 4 years or whatever it is that you want to run again. It was well worth the try. I hope you can use those signs for whatever it is that you want to. Because
Mike said fire starters.
The next
I guess
will be reelect.
that fire will put off a nice orange glow.
Yes, and the fact of the matter is the work will substantiate everything else that happens from that point forward. But you are one special human, And thank you so much for saving us the trip. I was so like, it was laughable to me as we're driving around. Like, this will be something that I'm going to talk about.
So, yeah, I was going to say, so it wasn't someone doing you a favor, but they did you a favor.
They did us a favor.
Yeah.
Ball don't lie, right? Karma comes back to get somebody, and I don't know who it was. And I'm certainly not blaming any of the candidates that did it. If you did, I mean, that's, on your own regard. Or
You are
if
greatly appreciated.
If you instructed people to do that, but if you were just somebody that's really,
And if your election depended on coming down to the sign out in front of the polling station to get recognition, you've already lost.
yeah.
You've already lost. If you get involved in the community, you go out and shake hands, you talk to people, you create credibility, you're a lifer in the community because you went to the grade schools, you went to the middle schools, you went to the high schools. You win.
Yeah.
So it's a body of work, not the day of election that you decide to win or lose.
Or maybe you just kind of saw the writing on the wall. Hey, you know what?
And you took your ball and went home.
You took your ball,
And
you
the
took
ball
our
doesn't
sign,
lie.
and you went home. So thank you for
hilarious.
that.
That's hilarious.
Your idea of dirty pool was my idea of helping another brother out. So thank you very much. All right.
Yeah, I saw that on the notes and I was like, huh? And you were like, I'll get to it.
Yeah, a lot of times, so behind the curtain, a lot of times if there's something that I think is funny that I want to talk about, a lot of times I don't want to prep him up front because
Yeah.
I like to get the initial reaction, because a lot of times our initial reaction, opens up a lot of questions,
Yeah.
becomes more entertaining than anything else. So yeah, that actually happened. So
That's fantastic.
now, speaking of fantastic, Saturday night we went to the Amanda Watkins Dunn Halloween party, which which was I sent a live photo out. I love Halloween parties. I like to prepare for Halloween parties, right? If I'm gonna go, I like to jump out like an actor. I like to jump in the character.
Yeah.
Right? So I had this idea.
Was it striptease with Demi Moore? Did you get all...
I have not done that yet. I have not done that yet.
Yet.
Potentially next year. Who knows? Up for opinion. So we had a great time. Raised a lot of money for a great cause. We had a group of 6 people with us that worked really, really hard on costumes, and they had they do contests, right? And so we're like, yeah, this is really good. We did, I don't know if you've seen these before, but we did the box roller coaster. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you've seen the thing where you stand up, and your feet are kind of hidden, and it looks like Blake was on Donald Trump's shoulders for Halloween, right? So
Right. Yeah.
So it was kind of the same idea, but the 6 of us, well, 5 of them, I really couldn't. They don't let me around sharp things anymore right now. But they put together these amazing looking roller coaster costumes. We had the pool noodles in front. We had the bar. We had these boxes and logos and numbers. And we took pants and we attached them to the front with shoes so it looked like somebody was actually in a boxcar.
Yeah.
And then we all individually dressed up as different things riding a roller coaster, right? And we're like, man.
Alexa, play Jerry Reed, Bandit.
So
The Bandit by Jerry Reed and Bill Justice
So
on Amazon Music.
I thought I had a friend of mine a couple years ago. His mother-in-law, Watkins, said I look like Burt Reynolds, like the first time that we met him.
Whoa.
So I've been holding on to that, right? And I decided this year as we were kind of searching for costumes that this is actually the opening song of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I watched it, right? So
It's a good movie.
I decided a couple of weeks ago that, okay, I'm going to grow out my goatee, my facial hair. Actually, I just did the goatee. If you remember last year, just the goatee, right? Because I wasn't really sold on walking around with
the mustache.
With the Burt Reynolds mustache, right? Because I went as Smokey and the Bandit. And I ordered, I found cowboy boots on Facebook. which are awesome for like
So you got to post that picture on
$35.
You nailed it, dude.
I already had a red shirt. I bought the belt buckle
Yeah.
for like $10 on Amazon. And then I bought it wasn't the exact hat, but a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
For like $40 on Amazon. So I'd spent some money and had dedicated myself to doing this.
To being Bert.
And so Saturday beforehand, I took off the goatee and just had the mustache. And I've grown a mustache before for other funny reasons, right?
Right.
And so go to the party and everybody's coming up like, man, like, love the mustache. And you know, it's one of those things like, do you really love it or you just love it that's not on your face? Like you love it on my face.
Right.
Because you don't see a lot of mustaches anymore, right?
Did you say I must ask you a question?
I must ask you a question. So
Shave it for later.
I grew it, and then Sunday, the plan originally was like, Sunday, I get home, I'm shaving this sucker off. But then I got into deep thought, right? And I'm like, and it's one of those things, it's like, and then you look at it, it's like, man, if you're really good at something, sometimes you just want to keep doing it. And I realized that I am really good at growing a mustache. And I'm like, I'm not going to shave it quite yet. I'm not going to shave it. I'm not going to shave it yet. I'm going to let this play out.
Go and put the curlies on the end?
So, no. Just, I figured it out when I first created it, right? When I first shaved everything else off, and it's just a mustache. I'm like, all right. I even had a sudden thought of, okay, this is Tom Selleck or Burt Reynolds. I could go either way. I could put a suit on and be Tom Selleck of Blue Bloods.
Magnum P.I.
Magnum P.I. I looked into that too. I said, I could do that. But I was like, man, I've already got the cowboy hat. I got the boots, the buckle. We're going to roll with this, right?
Soon you get the silver fox coming, man. You're going to be
I thought about dyeing
Elliot.
my hair too.
Sam Elliott?
Yeah, that's a big mustache, right? I don't know. That's a big one. So people would come up and they would just compliment the mustache. Alexa, play Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
So
Here's Eastbound and Down.
I'm walking around and people come up, oh man, that's an awesome mustache. Sunday, you know, you had a party, everybody had a couple of drinks, we went to the bar later, and one of my clients this morning sent me a hidden picture of myself, right? There. And it was pretty awesome.
That you're committed to posting to the page, right?
I will.
Okay.
I will. I'm not afraid.
Okay.
Right? So, clearly, I'm not afraid. Right? So, the next morning, I'm like, I got a lot of compliments. And it was one of our friends' birthday. So I took my phone, put it just on my mustache, and sang happy birthday to her Sunday morning and sent it off. And then I would send little messages on our Snapchat group, mustache messages.
Yeah.
And I got to like Sunday, I was like, man, watched the Bengals game, you know, had flag football, and I'm walking around in public with this that was the other thing too, I forgot. So Saturday night, we're going to the Halloween party, and Nicole dressed as an old lady. She nailed it, right? And we had to stop at the gas station. So I go in the gas station, full character, cowboy hat, cowboy boots. I'm taking Blake in to get snacks, and I got this cowboy hat. And the guy goes, oh man, that's a heck of a costume. I said, this isn't a costume, this is a lifestyle. He didn't know what to say.
Costume?
What costume?
What do you mean?
It's got rodeo I'm getting ready to right? And so I would sit, and then Sunday came along, and I'm like, you know, you typically shave after you shower. I was like, man, feeling kind of lazy, not going to shave. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Got up the next day, Monday, sent them all another beautiful Monday mustache message, getting everybody pumped up. I'm like, my one buddy texts back, he says, your mustache needs its own TikTok, YouTube channel. I'm like,
that's where I was going just now,
I'm
man.
like,
Why did the Tom and Q not get a
I know.
special?
So
We'll fix it.
I had one particular person complain about the mustache and decided going to the polls, standing outside. I didn't, you know, it was cold. I could have used my lip hat for it, you know, but I took it off. And a lot of disappointed people when I took it off. And the crazy thing about it is, as much grief as I got from individual person, right? I meet her at the polls. Whatever, we embrace and good luck, and how are you? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And she's getting ready to walk away, and she goes, you shaved your mustache. So you didn't even pay attention for like 20 minutes that we're holding a conversation. And I'm going, man, that's such a bummer. Because I hated the thing on my face. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
Right.
But when it comes to, like, it was...
Being popular?
No. It was a good mustache.
Okay.
It was good. Like, I mean...
Good.
Mustache of mustache. So I'm walking around, and I'm looking at other people that have mustache. I'm like, man, that's a good-looking mustache, too. And I'm rating, like, in my head, I'm rating, like, where does mine kind of fit in this world of stashes, right?
So send your stashes over, everyone. That your favorite mustaches throughout time.
So I don't know. I don't know when and if, we'll be making a comeback of the stash, right? But it was a ton of fun. The party was awesome. Having the mustache was great. Great time. Lots of great costumes. Oh, and we didn't win the costume contest. Believe it or not, as hard of work as we put in, another group showed up with the roller coaster.
Ah, interesting.
We didn't talk about it. It would have been great if we all showed up as one
Alexa,
big
play roller coaster. Roller coaster.
Roller Coaster by Jonas Brothers.
So it was kind of odd that had kind of happened, but there were awesome costumes there. It's always fun just to see grown-ups and what they go as, right? It's amazing.
I don't think this is the song I was thinking of.
Alexa, play Roller Coaster of Love.
Love Roller Coaster by Ohio Players.
There you go. Ohio Players.
We'll try. So that was our Halloween, right? Halloween comes Sunday, and I'm walking around, I'm back up at the party, and I'm just keeping my mustache. And the other thing, the people that I grew the mustache for, the in-laws, they didn't show up to the Halloween party. And then I saw them the next day, and I let them know.
Did the mustache let them know?
Oh, yeah.
Did you send them a mustache message?
They know. So, and then we're walking around passing out candy. So Halloween was good. Monday was good. Tuesday was good.
That's awesome.
How was your Halloween?
Good, man. We lazy, man. We didn't really do anything because where I live, we don't have like a neighborhood. Audrey, my youngest, dressed up as Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah,
so
good.
I posted that on my page, and she nailed it. Looked dressed, necklace, got the black gloves and the long cigarette holder thing. So she was like, "What is this thing?"
Did she put a candy cigarette in there?
No, she just walked around with it, and she did a good job. And the neighborhood she went, we know a few people in that neighborhood because again, we don't live in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's Audrey. You're Audrey. So she heard that a few times, and oh, that's cute, Audrey. She's like, yeah, that's me. And so she definitely played along with that. So she had a lot of fun. Paige had for UMass softball, a beauty pageant. So all the softball girls dressed from their respective states had the sashes, and she was Miss Ohio, and she loves Ohio. So in the summer, she came home, she got a Ohio tattoo on her ankle.
Okay.
So she was getting the picture showing her Ohio outline with her Ohio sash.
Yeah.
And just proud of the state that she's from. So
I do this all the time if we're out of town or if we're at a busy place. Each college, each state kind of has their chants, right? Like chants, like CHANTS, like chant.
Chant. Okay. Yes.
And so you could be anywhere in the world and you see somebody with like a Buckeyes hat on or shirt on and you go OH, and they'll follow up with an IO, right? And like one of my favorites is I'll see somebody with an Alabama and I'll roll tide, and I'll put an Alabama accent on it, like roll tide, and then you get it back like roll tide, or like boomer, and you'll get somebody a Sooner.
Yeah, hook 'em horns.
Yes,
Yep.
Try it sometime. You will have so much fun. It's unbelievable. We did it at, me and my brother-in-law did it at Epcot.
I was told in Texas it's because A&M's got the thing, you got your hook 'em horns.
Yeah.
So when you walk into some of the bars out in Texas, you kind of horns up or horns down. Like what side do you stand on?
Right.
You a UT fan or not? So it's neat.
Always horns up in that case, right? Right? So that's a fun game. If you're out there and you're at a busy place, the beach, Disney World, a place where there's just a lot of people.
You know what's funny? Even Bearcat fans do it out
Oh,
and
yeah.
about, and we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Traveling, you run into. So even when you're in, so the OH is definitely universal.
Oh, yeah.
To the state.
Yeah.
So it's not impartial or biased toward Buckeyes. It's
Somebody walks by with a Bengals thing, who dey?
yeah, 100%.
But it's hilarious. It doesn't have to be your team. If you can interpret and imitate, like the roll tide is my favorite. That is the best one. I usually keep a count on how many roll tides I can get when we go someplace, and people that are with me get so embarrassed. Like I'm like here it comes. Watch this. Roll tide, baby. Roll tide. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
It's hilarious. So yeah, the Ohio tattoo. That would if I saw that would lead me to go OH, and then Paige would have to respond with IO, right? And that's across the board. Fantastic. So I'm wearing a sweatshirt today. You are wearing long sleeves today.
Yes.
That is because somebody does not believe in turning the heat on when it's 45 degrees outside, right? 45? 46. We're up at,
it was 30 this morning when I got up.
and so my house is really cold. I almost told you to dress appropriately.
Yeah, I wear this, and I normally come down and take it off
Yeah.
and sit on the couch. But today I definitely have kept it on.
Yeah, no, I did. And the other weird thing with this finger is you have the nerves at the top of it, right? And so it becomes really sensitive to cold.
Oh, yeah.
And
these
it's
are things
weird.
that you're going to learn about.
Yeah,
The
it's
shorter phalange.
And with the bandage, I can't put a glove on, right? So yesterday I was outside.
You got to
doing
wear
some stuff.
mittens, don't you?
I put a sock on it. I put a big old long sock on
Yeah.
it. But so I'm.
I remember doing that as kids when you go out for like the fourth or fifth time doing it on a snow day.
Yeah.
And your gloves are soaking wet,
Yeah.
so you just put on
Yeah.
socks to.
We came up with so many ideas too, right? You put the baggie or the bread bag in your shoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the stuff in your. This will help keep the water out. No.
Yes.
It won't.
No, it won't.
Yes. So, yeah. So it's really cold. It's really cold in here, and I'm sitting, doing
Alexa,
some
play Ice Ice Baby.
doing some work, and
Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice.
like trying to type is already hard, but now that it's like this one finger gets frostbite earlier than anything else. Like even in a 40 degree day, like right now even I can feel it
Right?
getting frostbitten, or like that feeling of the tip of your finger is just cold and numb, so it's annoying. So yeah, we don't have the heat on. It's cold in my house. It's a balmy 58 degrees in here right now.
Ooh.
So, we're only a few degrees short of our pipes freezing at some point. So
Yeah. You get that electric bill, though. Nicole, thank you.
yeah, but then you get the pipes bill. You have to fix it.
Get the plumber out?
Yes. Doesn't make any sense to me. So what type of person are you? Are you the no heat November? Do you fight it as long as you can?
No.
I'm with you.
No.
Like if I'm
Whatever.
cold,
It is what it is,
I
man.
want heat.
I'll heat. Oh, no, turn it off. Open windows. Turn it back on.
Yeah.
And people say, once the heat runs, the house is warmer, so it runs less, and so to turn it on and off, I don't. Technology has advanced to the point of insulation on your house, windows of your house, the furnace itself, the energy that it uses. That I'm not going to stress over having a $154 electric bill versus a $158 electric bill. For $4, it ain't worth it to me. I'm turning it on, I'm turning it off, and
I am with you. You don't have to sell me on that.
no, I'm not. That's
Like if
and
I'm
Jessica's the
cold,
same way.
I want heat.
If Jessica's ever cold, the heat's coming on.
If I'm hot, I want cold.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna fight it.
a good thing I'm like a furnace myself.
Yeah.
So-
Usually I am.
Yeah, I'm laying down and Jessica's cold. She's instantly snuggles into me, and it's just like, oh.
Now I do like it. I do like to sleep in cold. Like
Yeah.
frigid cold. Like to where I'm putting on the blankets,
See, she's thinking of you. Nicole can't win. She's
but
like,
not
I
all
wanna-
day. Like right now, I'm not wearing blankets. Right.
Right.
I like hoodies, but I don't want to wear a hoodie all day around in my house. I
Right.
want my hand to go back to normal, to be able to have feeling in it, those types of things. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of no heat November. You know, you got No Shave November, right?
Yeah.
I blew that one up this weekend, right?
Yeah, I got mine going. I got mine.
You-
I got to shave my neck, though.
You should do the stash.
I do, but, like, I've tried it before. I did a little Fu Manchu once upon a time, and it's like my facial hair, it's like multicultural. So I got some nice pepper going in here, but my mustache, it's thin, and it's got some blonde up top. So it looks like I look like what was it, David Spade? Like it's such a poor. I feel less of a man when I have my mustache.
I don't feel like you tried hard enough. I think you need to give
At
that.
the end of November, I will come on with just my stash.
Yeah. Don't go Fu Manchu though. Go straight.
No. I'll go
straight lip hat.
I'll go. Yeah.
Straight lip hat.
So the last. So which we have to figure out because last Thursday of the month is Thanksgiving. So we're going to do a Thanksgiving Wednesday or like we'll discuss that later. But either way, I'm going to come on the show with my stash and we'll see. And it's just a poor excuse of a mustache, man. But I got a sweep when I go out the facial hair. It's I've been told it gives me an edge. I look distinguished.
Wait till you get the mustache and you look at it and you go, man, I hate this thing, but I just can't seem to bring myself to get rid of it. You know,
we'll see if that's something I go through.
It's tough sledding. And speaking of Thanksgiving,
Jessica might drop the hammer on that as well.
yeah,
Get rid of it now.
you got to give it a couple days. Sometimes you just got to man up and man that out, right?
If you hate it the first time, watch it the second time.
Right. And so Thanksgiving's coming, which is going to lead into Christmas. You went to Starbucks today.
Went to Starbucks this morning, guys. Look at this.
That is a Christmas Starbucks cup.
Yeah, I'm just, man. The music was playing, the tree was up, the red and green bags. I mean, it was lights on, lights off. Move on. There's no time to be thankful right now. Just gift giving. Let's go.
And yeah, I turned on a radio station the day after Halloween, and sure enough, already playing Christmas songs, right? And
Yeah.
you're seeing the stores are filling, you know, at least as best they can, filling their shelves with Christmas candy and all the different things that are out there now. And it's like we went from pumpkin spice to peppermint. Like the pumpkin spice people didn't even get a chance to really enjoy their pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Which I'm not one of them. We've made that perfectly clear.
Correct.
We're more of the apple spice people,
Yep.
right?
A little apple cider,
Yeah.
warm apple cider. Yep.
And so now we're immediately getting into the peppermint phase, and it's like, whoa, back the truck up. You know, it's like, so with that being said, everything's starting so early. We talked about the shipping issues and everything out in the ocean.
Ooh.
Christmas shopping, like, is that something, and what's your plan? Like, I know some people are like trying to get it done because they don't want, if you're a last second guy like me, like, you don't want to get to the point of, crap, nobody has anything.
Yeah. So I'm bad. Christmas morning to me is I'm shocked by every single thing open. I have no clue what's going on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time. I mean, I'll get Jessica hers, and it stops there. It's
You
just
don't know
hey,
what
I got the
anything else
girls this. What's in that box? What's
Yeah.
in? I am oblivious to. Let me see that. Let me see what I got you.
Yeah.
Let me see what I got you. I have no clue. So, and with the advancements of again technology and Amazon, it's everything. Jessica's goes through now of the panic of don't open any box.
Right.
That
We had that
shows up.
conversation.
Do not open up anything. Don't open up anything. So, yeah, I'm shocked. There's been Christmases, Tom, that I was surprised at what I got Jessica for Christmas.
You know, that's the easiest way to roll through it.
Yes.
That's the easiest way to roll through it.
I'm not a big Christmas guy, and they all are, and you know they rock it out and they do their thing, and I'm along for the ride, and we have a lot of fun with it, and Dad's the Scrooge, so I take some heat around this time of year, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I'm going to try to do it earlier. No guarantees. We are getting a ton of feedback on the stash, and apparently Watkins has missed the last 20 minutes where we talked about how much I personally missed it. And
Jake said grow a beard now.
I'm not going to do the beard. The beard's played out, Jake. The beard is way played out. People grow beards. You got the Duck Dynasty people. I've seen yours. It's great. But, no, you know what? I like to be different. Like corporate, the shoe boutique, I'm different. I want to be unique.
Mm-hmm.
And unique to me is the Burt Reynolds, Tom Selleck mustache.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Is
You just don't see it.
No.
And people take notice of that
And
guy.
when they do see it, they appreciate it.
Yeah. Like he worked hard on that.
Dude,
that's
sweet stash.
Yes.
Thank you.
You say it's a sweet stash because it's not on your face.
Right.
Right? The
You've got the
hatred I had for it
courage.
was amazing. But the love that I've received because of it has been even better. So, all right. Let's get to sports. We had a weird kind of the week before this area was on such a high.
Yeah.
Right? And man, did it come crashing down in a week's time.
And
or more.
Having a lot of conversations, because I'm assuming you're going to the Bearcat world right
I
now.
will. But even,
Okay.
let's
both worlds.
all three
Bengals
worlds.
world, all of them.
All
Yes.
of them. So
Yes.
you had the World Series.
Yes.
Right?
Go
And
Braves. Congrats.
The Braves won. Awesome. Talk about a team defying the odds. They had their best
there's
players
some
hurt.
Epic broadcasting moments, and I think Freddie Freeman's bomb was one that goes down. It's boom, and that could have been his last hit as a Brave.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Right.
Like, just let the game get over.
And speaking of that, right? So the Reds, another year, no World Series. They trade Tucker Barnhart yesterday for light hitting infielder, and then today the news comes out that Castellanos, which everybody knew he was going to do, is opting out of his remaining 2 years. Everybody knew he was going to do that, but it's like, okay, like we're piling on at this point, right? Because you had the high of, the Bearcats. They haven't been smashing people,
Right.
but they were continuing to climb in the polls to the point
Yes.
of where they get to number 2 on all the coaches polls.
So they're
AP
still there,
polls.
AP and coaches polls.
Yeah.
So the votes are still there. There's still the respect from the peers, if you will, and
And
the
then-
voters, and the eye test.
Only to have Tuesday come crashing down in what I feel is like just a tremendous screw job.
Yeah, but there's
For
still
ratings.
5 games left, and I think a lot of people have cases. Like Oklahoma dropped significantly.
As soon as I saw that they dropped to 8,
8?
I thought, oh boy, Bearcats are screwed.
Right.
Because I almost looked at that as, if they're willing to drop Oklahoma to 8, that seems like justification. Almost, this is a selfish perspective, but almost justification for them knowing, hey, we're going to drop, the Bearcats aren't going to be in the top 4. We better make Oklahoma
Yeah.
8. So it's like,
Because I haven't
ooh.
been sold on Oklahoma at all.
No.
I don't think they're that good. You cannot be a relevant team. And you know me, biased toward defense. Everybody knows that you can't give up that many points every week and be relevant in an argument that you're one of the best teams in the country. It comes from both sides of the ball.
I don't know. I could see both. I don't really know. I take that back. I disagree because before the season started, and you look at a team like Notre Dame, and you look at a team like Indiana, and I'm using the Bearcats, right? These are top 10 teams.
Mhm.
These are top 10 teams that you, as a community, a polling community, coaches, Associated Press, voted these people to be in these positions.
Right.
And then football happens, and all of a sudden, Indiana's a bad team. Are they? They weren't when you first saw them.
Right.
Their team didn't really change. Notre Dame, they lose to Cincinnati. Oh, they're a bad team.
That's the only loss on the
It's
season.
the only one they've got,
Yep.
and it was at home,
Yep.
right? So, Oklahoma, they're up there at the beginning of the year. They still haven't lost. You knew what their schedule was.
Yep.
They still haven't lost.
Oh, yeah. So look in the future to rank them going into the season as where you rank them. And then they did what you know they were going to do, and you're going to penalize them for it.
Yeah.
No, that makes no sense.
And then you've got the Bearcats again. They did. They had the 2 top 10 teams that, whatever, that's not their problem.
Right.
And one of them's still in the top 10. And their strength of schedule and their strength of record is better, much, much better and higher than Ohio State's. And Michigan State, other than Ohio State, has beaten nobody. Oregon, lost to a bad Stanford team.
Yeah.
Alabama hasn't played anybody yet, and they've lost to
Unranked
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have Georgia, who returns the same team, and Cincinnati, who returns the same team, that played all the way to the wire in their bowl game last year.
It's quite the compelling argument for UC.
Why
right
is
now. I'm liking
UC
it.
not
Remaining in the top 4?
correct? Makes zero sense. Now, when you first see it, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, you've got the Big Ten, so you've got Ohio State and Michigan State still have to play each other.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone at the office, and he said he kind of knew it was going to happen. I think we all somewhat knew it was going to happen.
We were rooting
He
against
said
it.
if we stay in the top 6, I think we'll be okay. And the fact that so Alabama, Georgia play each other. If Alabama gets the second loss, I think that's going to help us. And you still have some Ohio State, Michigan. There's a lot of things going on there, so you got another potential loss. So that's 2 teams that might get bounced. And as long as they're in the top 6, I think we're still the top 6 is as good as the top 4 today. Obviously not at the end of the year, but right now you got 5 games left. You got a SEC championship game, the Big Ten championship game. There's a lot of games, Big 12. There's a lot of games still to be played to where these teams are going to have to play a team for the second time that year. And the dust is going to settle and the ball doesn't lie.
I agree with the ball doesn't lie, right? However, in this case, I do believe at the start the ball is lying.
Let it bounce and let it bounce.
Because, again, just for the arguments that I've already stated and knowing where these other teams have to go, Ohio State beats Michigan State. Guess what they do? They jump. Does that take Michigan State out? Yeah, but that's still only 4 teams. Alabama beats Georgia. Guess what? Does Georgia fall out of top 4?
That's the worst case scenario.
No,
for
they
UC.
don't.
Is if Alabama beats Georgia, they both stay in.
Yeah.
If Georgia beats Alabama, it's 2 losses. We'll see. Because, again, this goes to somewhat conspiracy that SEC and ESPN, the networks.
Oh, yeah.
SEC, so it's who do we want? We've got vested interest in having 2 SEC teams because we own the SEC network, and it's good for ratings.
Well, and then the guy comes out and he's like, oh, we have tremendous respect for you. No, you don't. You know, as soon as they say, like, no disrespect, somebody's going to get disrespected, right? And so that comes on the heels of College Game Day. They announced that first, and it's like, now you want a real conspiracy? You know what? Let's pat UC on the back because we know they're going to get screwed in the polls. We're going to bring College Game Day out there for your game against
Let's help with some recruiting
Tulsa.
because we're going to screw them this year. Yeah.
You know, and so
interesting take on it.
I love that College Game Day is here, but I would trade being inside that top 3 or 4 over having those blowhards down in Clifton screaming for the Tulsa game, only to see Lee Corso put on a Bearcat hat that everybody knows he's going to put on.
Right.
Like, it's great. It's a show. It's never been here, but come on, man. You know, it's like what?
Come on, man.
What are we doing? What does it come to? And then clearly on Sunday, you had the complete and utter letdown trap game come to fruition. In a game that was in hand with 4 minutes to go, we found a way to blow the game. 10.5-point favorites. Even at that point, the Bengals were up 11.
Yeah.
Only to lose the game. Mike White comes in, throws for 400 yards in his first ever start.
Alexa, play Erykah Badu On and On.
Here's On and On.
And it just was...
Isn't this a fitting song for freaking Bengals and this sport? On and on and on. Here we go.
It was so frustrating to me as a Bengal fan as I'm sitting down here and I'm watching, and it's like the Jets and this rookie quarterback go right down the field, and it was...
He's in the Hall of Fame. His jersey, the ball, the whole thing.
It was
the
all...
best first game performance in NFL history.
It was all 5-6-yard passes, and that happened all day long. All day long. And your offense puts up 34 points, right? And you don't win against what you said was a good defense?
Yes. They made him look like a Hall of Famer,
Wow.
literally. And it didn't come down to this play, because I hate when people highlight a play
Yeah.
on a game. It didn't come down to this play, but unfortunately the Bengals made it come down to this play.
Right.
But that's probably top 10. And it's something else funny I was talking to my girls about. Every week, that's the worst call in NFL history. How many times have you heard that? How many worst calls in NFL history are there? They're officiating calls.
One.
That's the worst.
It was that one.
It's in my top 5, man. It's
It was
top
awful.
10, easy in my top 10 worst calls I've ever seen. The worst call I've ever seen was Detroit Tigers' perfect game.
That was bad.
That was the worst call I've ever seen in my life.
Now, but on the flip side, that was the reason that they got replay.
Yeah. That was the single worst call. I will never see a worse call than that in my life, because
And
it was
that guy came out and basically in tears
apologizing.
apologizing.
Yeah. And I could go on and on about that, because the pitcher, I don't even remember his name.
Yeah.
His class, his character, the smile on his face. He knew his perfect game. And guys, it was 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth.
That was it.
Like, that was the last out of the game that got blown on a perfect game. So anyway, that's the worst call under the umbrella, multiple reasons I've ever seen in my life.
So
Nothing will
let's-
ever compete with it. But that's
Let's
top
talk
10,
about
man.
that
was
call.
a bad call.
And I haven't done this, but I'd be willing to bet.
As soon as it happened, I said that he just cost the Bengals the
Yep.
game.
Uh-huh. They had
And that cost a playoff spot. That so many things
Yeah.
that are going to
There was a-
trickle down from that.
There was a game in the mid-2000s, I remember. The Bengals were good, and they went down to Tampa and played Tampa, and Tampa at the time wasn't very good. Bruce Gradkowski was their quarterback,
I remember that.
and Justin Smith was the defensive end for the Bengals. And he got a sack, and it was a legitimate sack. In the fourth quarter, rounding out a drive for the Bucks that basically... I don't know all the details, but it might have even been third down where they were out of field, whatever. It was bad for the Bucks, right?
Right.
And it was a legitimate sack, and they threw a flag, unnecessary roughness. Like, there was no helmet to helmet. Basically, they might as well have said he hit him too hard.
Right.
15 yards, Gradkowski gets the ball, goes down the field, and scores to win the game. That call the other day was worse than that Justin Smith call, because that particular game that they would have won, they were one game out of the playoffs. And that year, I kept looking at that one particular moment
Yeah.
on how that was taken away. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but I bet you that you can find 5 to 10 plays just like that in that one game alone.
Yeah.
In that one game alone, you can find 5 to 10 plays to where, yes, bodies hit each other. Sometimes in football, helmets hit each other.
Yeah.
You can't call that every single time. Specifically, when the running back is lowering his shoulder, you've got to get lower
Yeah.
than the guy. We've played football. The guy who is the lowest, a lot of times, most of the time wins. The leverage of the low guy wins.
Yes. That was a great tackle.
You got to get lower. So what does he do? And all defensive backs do it. They go down for the legs.
Yeah.
It was, pardon the French, bullshit. I said it was bullshit then. I'll say it again now.
Yeah, as soon as it happened, I knew it cost them the game. Because
I saw-
that was on 3rd and 11, which would have made it 4th and 11. They punt over. We got 2 minutes to drive down the field. Would we have came back and made something happen? I don't know.
They had
Nobody
three
knows.
timeouts, too.
3 timeouts, 2 minutes. There were so many things that really kind of put the nail in the coffin for the Bengals on that game. And I'll tell you another bad call. And it's 2015, man, with the whole Pac-Man situation with the Steelers coach. I can't remember what coach it was. On the field, he wasn't allowed on the field.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that was because Burfict had the helmet.
Oh no, that I did. Yeah. Did it happen again?
That's when because there was like double penalties.
we're talking worst calls.
Yes.
Okay,
worst
gotcha.
calls,
I thought you were talking
worst
about
calls.
that had happened again
No.
this weekend.
2015.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Going back to that.
Yes. Worst call ever.
That was
Worst non-call.
there. You go. Worst non-call.
Yeah.
So
we
worst
have
calls, worst non-calls.
So we have right now. We have the worst call of all time, which happened Sunday. right? And we have
And
the worst
call
non-call
of all time.
which happened in 2015.
Yeah, that the whole. I'm freaking out watching a game, and I don't do that much. But I see what coach was that? I mean, it doesn't matter. It was Steelers. Who cares?
Yeah, it was Joey Porter.
Like no, blatantly, he's not allowed on the field.
He's
What's
on the
going
field talking to the referee.
Yes. Like, what are you doing? And then he gets lippy with the like. I was
Alexa, play "Been Around the World."
Around the world.
So yeah, bad calls, guys. That ranks, definitely ranks, man. It's something to get the
It was
emotions
brutal.
going, and it sucks, and it's
But you're
unfortunate.
right.
But the ball doesn't lie. We got a lot of football left, and it goes back to that winning mentality of. And we were talking about it, and I made that post of the Austin Powers where he's stuck in the alleyway trying to turn it around.
Yeah.
That's the Bengals, man. We can't turn it around. So you're ranked number 1 in the AFC. Did we turn the boat around? So let's be careful with these trap games because championship teams, they got to come out, and you can't look at beating Baltimore as anything big. On to the Bengals.
Yeah,
Bill Belichick, on to the next week.
Yeah, you gotta move on.
I'm not going to invest too much in this win.
But we
because-
also talked about that too. Was not in a trap game per se, but it's the NFL.
Any given Sunday.
There's a reason that 0-17 has only happened one time?
No, it's never happened. It's the first 17
No, Detroit
years.
did it.
0-16.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Detroit did it. There's been a couple of them.
I don't think so.
Tampa did it in the 70s.
No.
That was 0-14, huh?
Yeah.
I thought somebody else recently did it. Detroit's going to do it again.
I think so. So.
Okay.
But the point being is
Yeah.
like
It's hard to do.
every team gets a win. It's
Yeah.
harder. I would argue it's harder to go
Defeated.
0-16, 0-17 than it is to go
16.
undefeated.
Yeah.
That's
a fair argument.
and so yeah, these are all these guys, and this is what we talked about last week. These guys are all the best at their level.
Yeah.
These guys that get drafted, they are one of the best linebackers in college football. They are one of the best linemen in college football. They may be the best player on every team that they've ever played on. And they're in one arena playing against you, right? So it's not to make an excuse for it, but it is possible. And we talked about the celebration at Baltimore. And I made the comment that I like, if you're consistent with your celebrations, like, I get it. The NFL is hard, and you put in a lot of hours and a lot of work and a lot of exercise and a lot of workouts and a lot of blood and a lot of sweat and tears to win one game, regardless of who you're playing.
Right.
So I don't have a problem celebrating after every single game because on any given Sunday,
Yeah.
you could be beat.
Yeah.
So
Cleveland Browns, 2017. I thought they did that.
They-
0-16.
they did?
Yep.
So it's happened twice.
Twice.
So Detroit and Cleveland.
Yeah.
So good. I hope they don't win. I hope the Browns don't win another game. I really don't.
What a mess that is up there. But who cares? It's not our problem.
saw-
Figure it out, guys.
Well, you've got OBJ.
Yeah.
Look, he's creating another.
How did the organization, and that's why they're a bad organization. You've got this guy. Everybody else in the league is freaking salivating at the mouth to get him.
I don't
Trade
think they
him.
are.
If you're not going to use him, you don't think so?
Man, I mean, he was had a great situation in New York
Yeah.
and found his way out of New York. He had a great situation theoretically in Cleveland, and is now causing his way out of Cleveland. Why? They made the playoffs last year. Do you not?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you were hurt. Sorry that you weren't there to be around when they were having some success, and now you're back and the success isn't there, and your quarterback's hurt. And I hate Baker Mayfield,
I'm not a fan.
but like it's not Baker's fault that Odell Thurman, that Odell Beckham is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. Sometimes time just runs out. You know what's undefeated? Father Time.
It's like mic drop.
Yes.
Yeah,
Father Time is
good.
undefeated. You don't have it anymore.
Yeah. I still think there's a ton of NFL teams that would take him if given the chance. Or maybe I'm wrong.
If
And
they
those
take him-
conversations were happening in the background.
I mean,
Nobody wanted him.
I
So
would think
Cleveland was like, this sucks. Because we're not
somebody-
going to get anything for the guy. Let's just sit on him.
If somebody's willing to take Antonio Brown, somebody will take Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, like I remember the Bengals did it all the time. Like Carl Pickens had a problem. No, you just sit and run on a roster. Like you're not hurting us right now.
Right.
Better that than get a 7th rounder, if that, for you.
Yeah.
Or no, we're not. Clearly,
Cup 8, man. Cup 8, Cleveland.
Wouldn't be surprised. And speaking of that, you had, Devin, talking fantasy. My fantasy football team took a
Yeah.
crush.
Fantasy's always interesting, man, and it got really interesting right now.
Yeah, so I had Derrick Henry, who's been amazing, MVP caliber running back, putting up all kinds of points for me, plays the entire game, only to have the news come out after that he broke his foot. Tough son of a gun, playing on a broken foot, and then now he's out. So there goes, pretty much at that point, I'm like, well, there goes my season.
Did you pick up Adrian Peterson?
No. Father Time is undefeated. I won't bite into that Adrian Peterson trap again. Father Time is undefeated. And then, come to find out, I think it was Tuesday, one of my receivers, Ruggs.
Wow.
From Oakland.
What was he doing, like 140 in a vet or something?
DUI that kills somebody, and then they find out he had hit max speed of 156 miles an hour.
156, yeah.
And I saw this yesterday, when the airbags were deployed, he was going 121 miles an hour. One, lucky to be alive. Two, why do you need to go that fast? Like,
What led up to it? He was a little frustrated, right? Didn't he get cut previous to that, or did he
no,
get cut afterwards?
No,
Something.
he's only on. This is only his second year.
Man.
And so he's facing felony DUI.
Yeah,
Probably
manslaughter.
Potential, I guess, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but vehicular homicide or something,
Yeah.
Something. It's bad. And his blood alcohol level was 0.161, which I guess is double the legal limit in Nevada, Las Vegas. So he gets released. I'm like, that's two of my starters in 1 week are gone.
Right.
Like, I'm scrambling now trying to put this team back together, but it's one of those things, like the NFL, you never know. Anything can happen on any given Sunday. You never know what's going to take place.
Pick up Beckham. He's going to have a great back half of the season.
Some other idiot's holding on to him.
and pounce on Adrian Peterson all day, baby.
Not only that, those are just my guys.
Age is just a number. Peterson's going to set it
about
off.
Aaron Rodgers yesterday? He has COVID.
Oh, yeah.
He's not playing on Sunday.
No, yeah, I did see that.
We were listening as we were driving around picking up signs. I'm listening to Dan Patrick. And
Do you have Aaron Rodgers?
No, I don't. But they asked him the question, like I guess in August, if he had been vaccinated, and he said I've been immunized or whatever. Like it's kind of weird how he said it.
Yeah. Antibodies.
Yeah, it's something like that, right? But he said immunized, and so you think like, okay, whatever. The rules are
use Lysol.
yeah, like the rules were if you've been vaccinated, like he would have been able to play, right, and so they find out that he's not able to play now, so he was never vaccinated. So he's out. Then on top of that, he's in a quarterback room with two other quarterbacks. What if they weren't vaccinated? Who's going to be their quarterback? Now, apparently Jordan Love is going to be their quarterback.
Interesting.
So that's a big hit. A.J. Green, COVID-19, questionable. Like, this is the week that fantasy teams take a dump. That's it.
Who was it, man? When Kyrie Irving came out, and I think it was Charles Barkley, and Shaq kind of got on the same page with, it's what you have to do, going back to the voting. You play within the rules of the game of that time. And right now, the rules of the game for us to win a championship is everybody's got to get the shot. Like, that's what you have to do to win this, win the whole thing.
But people will draw a line in that sand.
Yeah, they drew that line, and you know what?
You got to face those consequences
I think Green
well.
Bay is going to be okay long term. They might lose this week. They might not. Who knows? Who cares, right? They'll handle business the way they see fit. But, if this is that one game that comes back to haunt them for like a 1 or 2 seed, and they have to play, and they get upset at first, who knows, right? Who knows what it's going to ultimately cost them? But, if to achieve championship means your roster has to get the COVID shot because everybody has to stay active and eligible, or they say the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
You're not available to us.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and you play within the rules, and you face. It's just like anything. You face the consequences if you're willing.
Correct.
If you're willing to make that decision, it's just like any decision.
Yeah, and then the line in the sand, the other argument is okay. I will forego a championship this year for long-term health.
Right, and on
Okay then.
way more severe, but you have Henry Ruggs, who's
That's just sad.
he makes this decision. There are consequences, right? There are consequences to every decision that people make. Athlete, non-athlete, there are consequences. So you have to be able to live with those consequences of those decisions that you make. And I'm okay with that.
The rules of the game: don't drive 156 and stay sober.
Absolutely.
It's not a complicated rule.
No, simple, right? And that's, again, this is not on the DUI front, but in terms of like, isn't that the basis of freedom? Like, just in general, is in our country, we need to have the ability to make decisions on our own as long as we as long as we are able to handle the consequences of the decision that I made.
Right.
I'm going to make this decision knowing that this is a potential outcome.
Yes.
That's it. Plain and simple.
Very well said, man.
And obviously, again, not discussing that in terms of the DUI and the person that unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers for that family, man.
For Henry Ruggs, but when you're looking just in general, just overall, and people make decisions, they make decisions for themselves. You need to be
that your decisions affect another family's life.
Correct.
Like you just crushed a family,
right?
Because you're an idiot.
But here on top of that, right? So,
not an idiot. You made an idiot decision. I don't want to classify his whole life under one decision.
What I would say when you have something of any type of magnitude like that is, okay, the only thing you can do at this point is own up to it.
That's it.
The worst thing this society right now is doing is we have the inability to accept accountability. We are so quick to put accountability on something or someone else
over ourselves.
Yes. And gosh, that's to me, that I feel like is the downfall when it comes to society and values and everything else. It is accountability. Be accountable for one's own actions. And understand when one's own actions cause some type of consequence, good or bad, it's okay to accept that and not put it on something or somebody else. Anyway, I digress.
Preach it, brother. That's one of my Q talk rants that you just went on. I loved it.
So
now I was thinking that was coming in today. I was like, man, I'm not going to go on one of my rants today. I'm going to be cool. But I passed the torch, man. Well said.
That's what I have, right? So anyway, we'll wrap up with a couple of things this week. How did our UMass Minutemen do?
Woo! I'm all UMass out today, man. They came through for us. They played their part. They scored some points last week, 17, which is the most they've scored in a long time. And they gave up a lot of points.
They were bad enough. They were just
the
bad
over-under
enough.
in the game was 57, I think it was. They gave up 62 and scored 17. So they crushed the over. So they're back on track. And I tell you what, man, the rest of their schedule, and I'm reaching here, man, but I'm going to Utopia. Let me live here for a minute. They could win out. They've got Rhode Island.
That's not what I want to hear.
Maine. I don't know what that's going to do with the over-unders. I'm going to say we're probably going to go under for the rest of the season because they've got FBS teams, man. 3 out of their last 4 games. So they got New Mexico State, who's 1-7, equally as bad. Maine, Rhode Island, and I got Army in there. But if they can win against Rhode Island and Maine, maybe they'll have this false sense of hope and courage. But I think they're going to get slaughtered by Army. But they might win 3 out of the next 4. That'll be crazy.
It's not about the actual
wins and losses.
It's about how bad can you be and can you make this work. So
yes,
this week.
So I pulled it up, man, and I don't see a line on this game anywhere. So I don't know what
I'll take a look.
What you use. So I'll be.
Let's go on.
Interested to see what the lines are in this game. I'm going to guess the over-under for this is probably going to be about 48. Somewhere in that ballpark.
So let's look for
And they're 58.
Massachusetts.
Their odds of winning are 58% to Rhode Island's at 41%. So I'm going to say over under 48 and UMass probably by 7, 6.
Gonna dig into it here and try to find it if it's even available. Scrolling.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not posted on the site that I regularly go
Yeah,
to.
maybe they're not using it. Maybe there's no line on it. So we'll keep an eye on that and
We'll
fill
keep
you
an
in.
eye, but we'll determine what we want to go. And then the big money parlay, man.
Sucked. It sucked.
Stay away from those MAC schools, man.
I lost 2 out of the 4. The Bengals.
Oh yeah. I forgot all about
Buffalo.
the Bengals being part of that.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
And what's
Bowling
crazy
Green.
is the week before I felt a lot more nervous than I did this week. I was feeling pretty good, kind of rolling into it. So let's go ahead and cut out the garbage and let's give the parlay, the TB MLP of episode 39, as I'm going to scroll through again and see if I can't. I think I'm 500 on the year in picking these.
I
So
think you're better than that.
take it for what it's worth.
I know last week you were 500, but I think week 1 you were too. The 2 MAC schools. MAC schools, man, they
It's
just
tough. I think there just wasn't a lot to find there. All right. So, again, I'm only using Saturday games, which looks to be November 6th. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So, first, we've got the University of Alabama Birmingham versus Louisiana Tech. Heavy favorites at home. Minus 550. Go Blazers.
I like that.
Come back to that one. Oh, here we go. The mighty, the U, playing Georgia Tech at home. 10.5 point favorites. The money line, minus 400.
So far, that's my question mark. They're just too inconsistent, but
Yeah,
keep going.
Going with the numbers.
Going with the numbers.
Scrolling. What else do we got? Here we go. Which this could spurn us here.
If it's a MAC, stay away from it.
It's not the MAC.
Okay.
Okay, it's Central Florida, UCF versus Tulane at home.
Ooh.
Central Florida, 13-point favorites, minus 500. So let's go UCF
Over to Lane.
minus 500.
And they just got to win. Spread
That's
doesn't
it.
matter.
That's it. You just
All
got to win. Score don't matter. Let's look for at least, see if I can find one more here. Some decent games or halfway decent games here. I don't want to go to the 11 o'clock, but we will. So 11 o'clock
At night.
that night.
West Coast.
West Coast, Nevada. 10-point favorites versus San Jose State.
Okay. I'm down.
Nevada on the money line is minus 375. So, just to repeat, UAB, the U, Miami, Central Florida, and Nevada. All to get dubs this week.
Those are some warm states, man. I wish we had a little bit of that here in this basement.
It's freezing cold down here, just like my picks have been freezing cold. So take and do with that what you wish.
Yeah, I pulled up another site, man. There's over under none. NA money line. NA
Yeah,
spread. NA.
can't say. It's too close to call. Too close to call.
Yeah.
I'm sure something will come out. Somebody's got to have something on it.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere.
There's not, yeah, I mean,
I got great breakdowns of the teams, but
don't need it. Not going to do it.
where's your money? Don't know. None of your business.
None of your business.
UMass picked to win, and I think they can win 3 out of the next 4 games.
So, Again, UAB, Miami, Florida, Central Florida, and Nevada, all to win Tom's big money line parlay for the week. Episode 39. Good luck. Good luck.
Hope you make some money.
I've been bad. Just as a warning. 500, maybe a little bit worse. But it's in. I'm with you. I'm making the picks just as much as you are. So, let's enjoy it together.
I like that. It's a little different from the rest of the bookies commercials of the guarantees. Hey, we're in this together.
Hey,
I lose, you lose.
I like to lay it all out there.
So I'm not out here winning and you're losing. We're losing together. We're winning together.
So no secrets. What do we got coming up this week?
Oh man, Bengals Browns. So that should be.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
1990. So hopefully we can get back on track.
Top what songs? 1990.
1990. We're at number one. Rock.
Top rock songs. So let's talk a little bit about. Okay, so the Bearcats have College Game Day. They play Tulsa. They should win that game.
Yep.
This Bengals Browns game is interesting to me. I've got.
Why is that? We got Jets Colts tonight.
Alexa, play "Jealous Again" by Black Crowes.
Oh, that's a good song.
Here's Jealous Again by the Black
One, it's kind of one of those telltale games of were they as good as they looked against the Ravens when they pounded them,
Or are they as bad as?
or were they as bad as that? What do we always say? It's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Right. Nobody typically every given Sunday brings their best game, but you've got a talent-heavy Browns team coming in.
A great defense. Great defense in Cleveland.
They've got running backs.
Yes.
Clearly the Bengals got to change their game plan because I think that's what ultimately cost them that game was that game plan of letting him dink and dunk underneath.
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield, if there's anything he's going to do, it's that.
Yeah.
Hand the ball off and dink and dunk.
And you've got all indications are this season you've got pretty good cover corners and you've said it yourself, the best safety pair in the game. Right, that's the coaches said that, not you, but the coaches said that. So, go back to last week. Why in the world didn't you trust those guys to cover those guys man up and make them throw over the top? So this week could be interesting to see what changes they make. I think we talked about celebrating too. They fell in love, and they got a lot of love last week from the media because they only rushed 4 guys. They don't have to rush because they cover so well, and these 4 guys are so good. It's like they almost fell in love with that. Like, yeah, you're right. We should just do this. Like, we'll just mail in this game, and that's all they did. And then when they did send 5 or 6 guys, they had no problem with Mike White.
Right. And then let's keep an eye on him, man. If he
He
sticks around and he wins that starting job, let's keep an eye on him. Is he a legit dude? Did the Bengals just lose to a legit dude?
Notorious for making backup quarterbacks look good. Brett Favre, Steve Young,
See, we might have launched another Hall of Fame career.
No, I mean, it's true. And so I'm not going to get too. I was really, really pissed off Halloween night. I'm a diehard fan, so it takes me some time to get over it.
Yeah.
And so I did a lot of rubbing the mustache. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I was thinking trap game.
Yeah.
And when they went up 31-20, I was like, all right, they figured it out. We're okay. Everything's
The
good.
defense should be good enough to hold them out.
And then I left, and I pulled up the game. I was driving my car, and I stopped at a light, and I just checked the score, and I was like, oh.
Well, I'll tell you this. I love Joe Burrow. But, man, he picked some really, really bad times to throw interceptions. He does. I mean, the Bears game where he had 3 consecutive passes picked.
Yeah.
The Packers game, I think he threw a pick late. That was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, you got a Joe on that offense that can carry the weight. Let the right Joe at the right time. And Joe Mixon he should have been carrying that weight at that time in the game.
But that play, they try to run a screen, and of course the guy tips the ball. It's like why? You had the win. You had the game pretty much. Trust your defense, whatever. Run the ball, whatever you got to do. You can't throw an interception there. You can't fumble there. So that's going to be interesting to me is how how those game plans changed from last week, because I was not a fan, both offensively and defensively, of how they approached, especially in the second half. Because in the you take the first half and it's like, okay, everybody's kind of feeling each other out, and then typically the Bengals, when they've won, they've been really good in the second half, and offensively they were better in the second half. But you get to those clutch points, and then here's that: take the daggone points early in the game. They have fourth down and goal from like the 3.
Right.
Kick the field goal. I know you want to punch them in the mouth and you feel all high and mighty about it. No, play. What? It's hard.
Play to win the game.
It's hard to win in the NFL. At that point, that told me you were taking them lightly. When you went for it there, you were taking them lightly. Mm-hmm. No, take the points. Play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Yes.
Now if you got an inch to go and you can't
and
get
win
it,
elections.
That's it. That's it. So anyway, I can go on. It feels good to kind of clear the air on that game, because I really hadn't talked a whole lot about it.
Right.
But I keep, instead of talking about the Bengals-Browns, I keep leading back into last week's game.
Play to win the game.
So the keys to the game for me against the Browns are defensively, stopping the run, making Baker Mayfield, especially with the injury, throw the ball downfield.
Does defense play some pissed off football?
Yeah. Bearcats, play pissed off this week and win by 70.
Yeah. Just play pissed off football.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. So that sounds good to me. We'll see what next week brings. But everybody, just like 1996 or 7, we're out.
Peace.